To my chess stream here on Twitch and lichess.org. International Master William Pascal. We are streaming our subscriber stream. It's on an unusual day today. Usually I'm doing the subscriber stream on Thursdays, but due to a schedule change, that's the way it is. So it's Friday night. I switched my Thursday and Friday nights, and it's really Friday night, but it feels like Thursday night. We are going to be taking games from the subscribers, submitted games from the subscribers, and just analyzing with you guys. And in between the game analysis, we can fit in 2 or 3 blitz games to kind of break the monotony up. I got a challenge from Troll in a Roll, who's not a subscriber, but he's long been a subscriber many times, and I think we'll give him a game. Activity gains invitation. Invitations, is that what you said? Oh man. I've got my screen on another monitor and I keep losing the letters on the far end of the sentences that people are writing. I can't see the very last letter in your... You supported me by watching a commercial. Alright. Technically you're right, I guess. Do swidania. Jo Eshtet Hivanuk. Welcome everybody. Dobre večer. Welcome everyone to our evening stream. It's 7 p.m. here in Budapest. I'm going to be taking these subscriber games, going over them. I've got submissions from Only Stupid Names Left, JCS, Asterbait, and Soltigo. And I feel like somebody's missing. Well, Nefedov usually submits a game, but he didn't. Dos Pigania. He's saying goodbye. Did I say dos pidania? Dobre večer. That's like evening, right? I've only got 4 games submitted. We can still take others as we... Tushar Kamde is hosting. He's been streaming. I haven't had time to watch because I've been busy. But I did notice that Tushar was streaming. I don't really watch anybody else. Just me. Because I'm so short of time. I'm such a busy guy. But no, Gladys Troll, what's up? So we're going to play the Gladys Troll game. Let's just get that started. We can talk while we play. And then we'll take the game analysis one by one. Knights, they're like in groups. Groups of knights, groups of bishops, segregated chess pieces. This is racist, and I want to declare the game... No, I'm just kidding. Alright, it's not. It's just... It's a pure accident. It's totally random that the knights are like that. Ginger64, so we got 2 guys hosting us. Wow, Friday night I'm not usually here. I'm not used to the scene on Friday night. Usually playing poker on Friday nights. But that was yesterday. Alright, so D4, I'm just trying to put my knight on F6 and I can't. I'm reaching out and I'm trying to grab it, but I can't. My knight's over there on that those bad squares. The A8 knight. What am I supposed to do with that? Groups is better. My stream is bogus anyway. Yeah, so did I, and he should have sacked a knight to get out. Okay, you guys are debating something I don't know what you're talking about. What if I were to take that pawn on C4? I like taking. Not the first time we've seen a gambit-style approach from Troll and Roll in the opening. But in answer to this groups of pieces thing, starting that whole conversation, basically, there's truth in it. It just seems like the knights and the bishops and the rooks, they really do coordinate well when they're actually literally next to each other, so that's not a joke. I don't mean to be robotic here, but I think that the knight, you know, its future is best on B6, not my favorite square, as you know. The best we're going to do. You dropped like 120 ratings. See, streaming isn't easy because you really can't focus as well as when you're playing just on your own. You kind of have to get used to it. And even then it's not as easy, obviously. So now, alright. Queen D3. That looks like a good move. How am I going to develop the rest of my pieces here? Bishop C6 perhaps walks into knight B3, knight A5 type of stuff. Where to put my bishops? Maybe E6. Living on my own. What does that mean exactly? You moved out from mom's house? Or... No, I'm just kidding. you're not in the basement anymore? I'm just teasing him. I don't know where Troll lives. He's singing a song, I think. Alright, we'll just do e6 and lose the exchange straight away. That's a good idea. Very good idea. Just give him the exchange with like bishop to b4. My spider senses are tingling. I saw that little tactic instantly. Almost instantly. What did you do with the bearded man? I traded it for a hangover. Juicebox Wizard, what's up? Nefridov. I'm an imposter. Can't stand the beard after a while. Man, I don't know what to do here. How do I get my rook out so I can castle? Hello? I can't play e6, so I can't move my bishop, and then therefore I can't move my rook and I can't castle. That's great. So we've got this like really tragic situation. I can't do like anything good. I think there's like music outside, like a concert. It's weekend. I just heard this. There was this like sonic noise today, by the way. It was like I don't know, a missile went overhead or something. It was really strange. The middle of the afternoon, this extremely loud swishing sound went through the sky. Like, I thought it was like a nuclear missile. I didn't know what it was. It wasn't like an airplane. If it was, it could have been, but it was really, really... I never heard of like a... I've actually never been to an air show to see like a fighter plane like go really low. Maybe that's what it was. Queen d3. What am I doing? I'm kind of droning on and on, trying to just... I have a little problem here. Alright. h5 looks like a move. Nefedov, it is actually a move. I actually considered h5. I did consider it. It seems artificial. Tushar, real names are better for me. If you... That's not the guy's real name, is it? What is that, his lichess name? Okay, I don't know any of the like young generation of Brazilian chess players. The only people I know are like 30 plus. Now still I have to battle with this bishop b4 thing. No, but this is double-edged. He's 31. He just... What's his real name, though? That's not his name. Is it Krekor? Is that his, like, handle on lichess? Or is that a real name? If it's a real name, I never heard of him. Does it sound... Yeah, okay. That's his real name. Okay, so it's the Mekhitaryan guy. Okay. Well, he must be distantly Armenian, but... Yeah, no, he's like Brazilian champion. As far as I remember, the last Brazilian championship, I thought that guy won it. I don't know him. But I have seen the name, of course. It's definitely Armenian. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, Europeans in South America, obviously. You know, I mean, like North America. Happy birthday to Soltigo. It's his birthday, guys, so... If you have Armenian descent, you're automatically good at chess. That's the first thing to remember. Alright, knight d4. Tricks. Tricks only. Tricks and counter tricks. So we lose the exchange with bishop b4, but we've got it coming back with bishop b5. No, I haven't played the guy. That's cool though. You beat him. That's nice. Nice job, Tushar. Thanks guys for subscribing. International Master William Pascal. We are doing our subscriber stream after this blitz game. We're gonna take some time. a6 is the threat. It is a massive threat. I'm gonna play a6 followed by h6 and then maneuver my king to h7. Follow up with something like g6, king g7. And then maybe maneuver my bishop to d7. Tricks only is your friend on lichess. No, Trix only is my only friend on lichess. No, he used to watch the streams sometimes. Acerbate donated 39 bits, but that's not the right amount. Soltico's 35. I'm the one who's 39. Always. Soltico says he's 10. Alright, what are we going to do here? Knight c3 now. The plan was... Okay. There's a couple ways to skin a rabbit, right? The plan was to like attack his center with c6, but I don't know if opening the position is really great here. I've been quite a while, 39. No revealing anything. Yeah, I think that maybe that's a mistake. Maybe I'm really 38. I look 38. Feel like 60. Alright, knight c2, challenging my knight on d4. Well, the big decision was really to play c6 or c5, theoretically. Here I even have the choice of bishop c5, but then b4. So I guess we're just going to go with this. Man, it feels kind of weird to do c5 somehow. Why is that not good? No, it should be alright. This is going to get a little bit tactical. Now he has a protected passed pawn on d5. I feel like 20. But anyway, our moderator's birthday, guys. Congratulations to him. Don't worry, I got it. Let's Can we both ban the same person? Govin Kurt, welcome. So we're rarely streaming on Fridays, guys. We'll see how the audience shapes up tonight. I did this a couple weeks ago, though. It was another stream. It went well. It went perfectly fine. Alright, I don't know. What is my plan anyway? Yeah, just don't feed the trolls. Trolls on a rolls. 21 viewers, we just started. That's not so bad. It's a slow day. It just started. For this stage of the stream, 21 viewers is quite good. We just freaking started, man. Bishop d6 or bishop... Alright, I'm about to flag. Alright, you're gonna trade... He's gonna flag me. Troll on a roll is gonna flag me. The heck is going on around here? Why did I castle again? Ooh, that could get kind of nasty. I'm not calculating very well. Move 11, welcome. Surprise stream received us. Well, the stream can't start with 50 viewers before it's hardly even got moving yet. Troll is really into space. Good call, Move 11. Yeah, he's very, very space-oriented, and the way he plays the opening particularly well, based primarily on exploiting his space advantage. Okay, this may well be a blunder, but I was running out of time. I'm trying to be tricky. That's what I get for being tricky. I thought perhaps I could trap his knight on a7. I kind of saw this through my third eye in the back of my head like a few moves ago. But wasn't sure, it's just kind of a gut instinct thing. Alright, he lost on time. Not sure what's going on here. Let's take a look. Knight takes a7. Wow, is good for me. See, the trick is, though... The trick is... I was going to say, I thought the trick was I can't play queen c5, but queen c5 is actually good. Wow. I mean, obviously knight takes a7, but I was calculating queen c5, b4, queen takes a7, queen takes c4, and I guess I'm all over him in there developmentally, though, you know? Like, let's see. Knight takes a7, queen c5. Not the only move. I could just quietly play like queen c7. b4, oh, this is sick. So queen takes c7, a7 is unclear. Coming back to c7 is the best move. Oh my god. I might have played it right away, but I definitely wouldn't have thought to like go queen c5 and then I would have, you know, I thought about this. Because here it's just kind of unclear. His knight is basically trapped. You know, I mean, that's a serious problem. But I also have to keep my contact with the knight on c4. So, good game, me. Apparently I made 2 mistakes. Okay, I wasn't prepared really to play yet. I haven't played today. I was up pretty late last night. Nefedov is challenging me, but we'll delay that and look at some games now. I really need to get into the frame of thinking, you know, when it's time to play. Playing is different from analyzing. Clearly you don't understand. Well, the piece is off sides. You know, this is just getting trapped in a lot of lines. Alright. So, guys, I've got... Nefedov, did you actually submit a game for analysis? Because I didn't recall, man. I mean, if you want me to analyze a game, I don't think you sent it to me. I did look at my messages, but it slipped through the cracks or something. So let me know. We're going to do Only Stupid Names' game first. Okay, this is a game he sent me 2 days ago. A game online here. It says, we both had our share of blunders, but I still think this might be an interesting game to look at. Okay. So, here is something you can't understand. I have like 4 games right now. You know, we should be able to do like 7 at least. So, if we take 15 or 20 minutes per game, which I usually do, let's flip the board. So, Only Stupid Names left, one of our subscribers, is playing black in this against Liebers. This is a 1550 rated classical game. Okay, so all the rage now is this queen d8, and I've had a number of people playing against me. It always seems odd to me to do that, but there's nothing drastically wrong. I mean, years ago, in the late 80s, when I was studying chess for the first time, really, seriously, I think I had some old Scandinavian books. And the queen d8 was considered, even back then, you know. But it was always kind of like just, oh, well, here's a couple games, and it doesn't really do anything, and it's nothing special, and I don't know, somebody lost a bad game with it, so it sucks, you know. Queen d8, it's not as active as queen a5 or queen d6, but it's not that bad. I wouldn't be enthused about it so much. Here, okay, knight f6, and then bishop c4. Now this position, to me, I don't know. I have no clue what the best... I know one thing, that maybe black still can implement like plans like a6 and b5, as in the queen d6 systems. You know, that's one thing that you can't do when you play queen a5. One clear thing that is a disadvantage with the queen a5 line is that this a6 b5 idea doesn't work. So that was really like discovered in the queen d6 lines maybe 15 years ago, and now it's been carried over into these queen d8 lines. The ability to play a6 is rather pivotal. Looking down the line here, there's not that many games because this is relatively unexplored, but there have been a couple books written on queen d8, I guess, or at least one I know of. And like knight f3, bishop c4, bishop g5. I've been trying to play like bishop f4, bishop g5. It feels like white should try to do something aggressive and castle queenside. But this looks standard. And then what? a6. I think this is considered to be best, you know. To exploit that bishop on c4 by hitting it with tempo seems like a good idea. And, you know, looks like the knight should go to f3. Maybe if you play knight f3, black isn't as likely to play a6. But if you play knight f3, then you have to worry about bishop g4 and stuff like that. Okay. So anyway, enough about the opening. Knight f3, b5. Here's a game, Smirn versus Jukic. Montenegro-y. The Montenegrin top board, I think. Nikola Jukic. So, I have to ask Dragon Kosic. b5, bishop b3 now. c5 right away. And that seems to be the theoretical move. Okay, so c5. Black could probably play other moves, but this actually looks... It looks like it's been played in a whole mess of games. Computer prefers to play bishop e2 here, and if that's the case, then the whole line doesn't work. What is white doing wrong? You could play a4. I don't know, I thought I saw a relatively strong player play this with white, but it does seem kind of weird. John Bartholomew has a couple games here with black. So, b5. Oh, maybe that's what it was. There was like a game. You know what I think it was? It was Kamsky against Bartholomew, if I'm not mistaken. Kamsky beat him in an interesting endgame bit. Like this year or last year. An endgame I really like by Gata. You like a4. Well, I mean, it certainly isn't ridiculous to play a4. It does weaken some squares, though. Alright, so anyway, we have to find this game, Gata versus Bartholomew. Really nice squeeze by Gata in the ending. Maybe it was like in Gibraltar or something. c5, d takes c5. And then if the queens have to leave the board, you know, this is kind of awkward for white. We get our pawn back. We're going to get our pawn back. Can this be surrounded? Is this sure to be surrounded? If bishop e3, black might sometimes have knight to g4. Krivoruchko versus Shyam Sundar. And here's an older game. Baklan against Arancibia. That's almost certainly like a queen d6 variation by transposition, because nobody was playing this back in 2001 with queen d8. Those are the only two top games. Nefedov sent me a game. Okay. If you guys are subscribers, want to send in a game, you can feel free to send me a game here on lichess, and I'll try to analyze it. So now we see like bishop e7. It continues down the main line. But I wouldn't really call it theory. Oh no, what did I do? Another like hotkey or something? I just opened another board somehow mysteriously. Okay, that's really strange. But here we are back again. Flip the board. Alright, I don't think that white got anything. Allowing the trade of queens here, you know, you're giving away your opening advantage. But it's still like equal. Bishop e7, and the Krivoruchko Shyam was a4. Probably. I mean, this makes a lot of sense, like weakening black on the queen side. Relatively old game, though. That's from 2014. This could be with queen d6. In fact, you know, even back in 2014, this line was just in its infancy. But it's unclear if Krivoruchko and Shyam were playing with queen d6 or queen d8. That older game from 2001 most likely is a queen d6. But a4 and now b4, and we're still in book. Krivoruchko played c3, breaking the pawn structure. There's really nothing else to do. But unfortunately for white here, he decided not to do anything. And, no, he didn't play a4. He just castled. And I think, you know, a4 is a useful move to get the rook in the game. Rook e1. Okay, not a bad move, but now black took with the bishop. It's very tempting to take with the knight, to be honest. It doesn't develop a piece, but you're gaining the bishop pair. You're either going to get the dark squared bishop like he chops it, or you're going to be able to take on b3 later on. The only downside is that you might weaken your control of e5 a little bit. My informatics teacher at the university said his nephew was good at chess, and if I wanted to play him, I said I'm too good for his nephew. The name of my teacher is Igor Baklan. Right? Future grandmaster. Nephew of Baklan. That's funny. I'm too good for that guy. Alright. That's like when I was too good for Magnus Carlsen's dad's son. Don't bother me, kid. I'm trying to analyze with your dad, alright? Just step aside and stay there in the roped off area. No, it's like very tempting to take with a knight here. This is a little too safe for my liking. There's actually a couple of games. One from Budapest here. IM tournament 2004. I was probably playing a GM tournament at the same time that was played. Now knight back to c3. I don't know where that's going. Where is it going? It's like now black has really good control. This looks like a really good queen's gambit accepted for black or something. So here we go now, the moment of truth. It's very, very interesting to play king to e7. You know, we want to have the king close to the center for the endgame. This is something that you see with a lot of beginners. They automatically castle. They need to consider the possibility that the king is actually safe and better placed for the oncoming endgame. So let's take a look at that. You know, king e7. Can we just straight up play king e7? There's some dodgy things he can do, like knight d4 with little nasty traps, like the knight f5. So this is kind of a marginal situation. Let's say you could argue that the king e7 is a little dangerous here. Okay, castles, but he gets to the file first probably, and then rook a c8. I like the rook fd8, not just because the computer is suggesting that, but I still want to creep my king back. The rook on c8 isn't that clear what it does. The king getting back to the center is more fundamental, whereas this rook, I'm not sure 100%. That's that great. White here doesn't develop anything with knight g5. Some tactics, obviously. He's looking for cheapo shots, and apparently this works. But this isn't just a cheapo. He's winning 2 pieces for a rook here, or he's winning a rook and 2 pawns for the 2 pieces. Whoa. No, yeah. So let's see. Knight takes h6 is a reflexive move. Like, why even play h6? You know what I mean? This is a bad move. If you just take on 3. Let's say he takes back with a rook, you can play knight to c5. That guards the e6 pawn. You can lift the bishop on b3 whenever you want, and everything's cool. There's absolutely no problem for black. But h6 just like an automatic move, and he could take on e6 here, and it's very unclear. So he backs off with knight e4. When to choose which rook, yeah, it's never easy. I like playing rook fd8 because I want my king to reapproach the center from f8 as soon as possible. You know, I mean, occasionally you'll see stuff like rook fc8, but it seems like the d file. The rooks belong on f8, or rather d8 and c8 here. Weird lag happens whenever I go to move a piece. I think because I have too many browsers open or something like that. I have no idea. It doesn't happen with my other machine. Hopefully that'll be back soon. Alright. So this was apparently a complicated tactic, overlooked by both sides. Black should just recapture on e4, and then white takes on d7, and then black takes on e3, and then white takes on c2. It looks like we win a pawn here. Just bishop takes, rook takes, bishop takes e3, rook takes e3, or pawn takes e3, maybe the lesser of the evils, to eliminate the back rank threat. It's kind of awkward. Bishop takes c2. And white dropped a pawn. He has a rook on the 7th with a tiny bit of compensation. So what's up, guys? What's up, Juicebox? Everybody, thanks for subscribing. Alright, we're going to wrap this up. It's kind of a long discussion. I get carried away sometimes. So some tactics here. He could have won a pawn. Little mistakes. We need to just calculate forcing moves. And anyway, so we take here. He does this in between move. I was a little concerned about knight to d6. I'm still a little bit concerned about knight to d6. I mean, what is going on after knight to d6? I guess at the very least you could play like bishop takes f2 check and rook c7. And you would be up a pawn. Okay. Never mind. So, this is okay. Yeah, maybe I picked up lag that I didn't have when I started the stream. Yeah, I did. I'm getting lag now and then. When I started the stream, my ping was at like 40 too sharp. And then suddenly it came out of nowhere. I'm not really sure why I'm getting a lot of lag, but the cable guys didn't come this morning. I'm really, really pissed about it because I didn't do my stream and they were supposed to come and then they didn't come and they said they called, but they didn't call. So it's really cool. Okay, rook takes e3, rook fd8. Simpler to play bishop takes e4 followed by knight c5. But at this stage, it looks like white is basically out of the woods. Kind of a passive move there, allowing white to play knight d6. He doesn't even do it. And then we put the knight on b6, and white can play like anything here. Rook takes, knight c5. That looks fine. Now bishop d5 would be equal, but he plays bishop c8. Combative move, like not trading pieces in a way. The knight on c5 looks very strong. We definitely want to get our pawn to dark squares, so I think this is a mistake. Not letting the pawns get fixed on the white squares is a bad thing. Right. No, I was thinking today, Juicebox, exactly. They're just like the American cable guys. Like, they would do the exact same thing. It doesn't matter where you live, man. People are the same. Yeah, it's a very American thing to do. Okay, rook d3, king f8. Now we could just be simply in a bad endgame with bishop takes d5. He should have just chopped this. This is just a simple situation of monster knight versus bad bishop. You know, and maybe we should try to do our Floor versus Capablanca imitation here, but this is not Floor versus Capablanca. I mean, this actually looks pretty bad, I think. After rook takes, e takes d. That king's coming pretty fast to d4, and I'm definitely not happy about it. You know, here, and here. And unlike Floor Capablanca, it's not an Isolani where like none of the other pawns have moved. It's a worse variation where our queenside pawns are kind of stuck on the wrong square. So it looks ugly, but it looks like black might be able to hold on here. As horrible as this looks, with a monster knight, very bad bishop, but maybe with a5, maybe somehow black can hold this. Anyway, white missed his chance. He should have gone into that ending. Instead, he plays c4, kind of weird. Bishop takes c4, and a5. Now, we have another ending where I think that white is better, but it's hard to win. And then he just dropped an exchange with knight f4, and that's it. I mean, that's game. You can't just drop an exchange here. How to recognize the monster knight? Well, the monster knight, I mean, it's immobile. You know, I mean, you can't ever get rid of it. It's on c5. There's no b pawn. There's no d pawn. Nothing can evict it from that outpost on c5. That's a disaster, you know. He just hung an exchange here. This was a crazy blunder by white. Alright, interesting game up to that point, though. And then somehow it ended in a draw. I don't even understand how. Basically time, I guess. He got his pawn down to the 7th rank. White got a pawn down in the 7th rank. Oh my gosh. But black has one over here. This must have been like time pressure. No, black had plenty of time. Oh no, he must have missed knight a6 or something weird. Yeah, he just played h2 and didn't realize white has knight a6. That's just carelessness. Carelessness, 8 minutes left on the clock. You should definitely see this. You have to play rook takes a7. Okay, guys. How to recognize a monster knight. We need a monster knight emote. Then we can recognize monster knights. So, any ideas? Have a look at French defense knights. Lots of endings with good knight versus bad bishop. Yeah, this was straight out of the French defense, exactly. Okay, guys, I've got Tushar and Nefedov. Those guys are also submitting games. Alright, guys. The stream should last till about 9:30. We've got about 2 hours left. Monster Knight emote. Where am I? So JCS, I don't know if JCS is here tonight, but he definitely submitted a game. Must be on the next list. Where is it? There it is. Alright. Draw due to low time. Game for analysis. This is against Crew 6-4. Another guy that I don't know anything about, because he's too young. This Crew 6-4 guy. He was probably 5 years old when I left the United States. Alright. So, our hero is playing the white pieces. JCS from the stream. Knight F3 and F5. Oh, good. So Jacob played my variation. Not like I invented it, but I've been playing this religiously, and it's good to see like someone who's a follower on the stream play something that I played. But let's check out Black's reaction here. Probably the best is something like Knight to C6, but almost nobody knows to do this. This is the idea, to play like E4 and E5. I really think this has got to be the best chance for Black. Alright. So anyway, Black plays Knight F6, White plays E4. And I just can't even begin to count how many times I've had this position. This is horrendous for Black. Now Black plays D6. I had a game against Eric Feredi Eric. And this young Hungarian master, and like he got crushed. He took this pawn. I was like, you got to be out of your mind. Like, look at White's score here. Has anybody ever seen a variation where White's score is like 94% out of 17 games? Like, you know, that's a good line to play. I think I'm going to play this line. Its score is like 6% for Black. No, not a good idea. And like after Bishop D3, he played Knight C5. I was like losing my mind. How does this not win by force? I managed to win the game anyway. But here I made the wrong move. I'm supposed to play Knight E5, and I played Knight G5 instead, which is funny because that's what the other guy played. The only other game this has ever been played. So yeah, he's saving his openings for the World Championship. Alright, Bishop D3, and then he doesn't take this pawn. Black plays D6. This is what I see like most often. Now White has two options. Either take on F5 or play E5. If we had a way to feature and search my games that I played here on the stream, we could find at least 2 instances of me playing this position. I'm sure that I could find a couple games. But I have the gut instinct that I like pawn takes F5 better. I think this is probably the best. There's this game here, Royce versus Beliavsky. Now the Carlsen one I don't know about. I didn't see it. But this is just good for White. You like take on F5, you play D4, and then you play Bishop D3. And I just don't like Black's position. Queen D7 and Bishop D3. Okay, this is Carlsen. Well, Carlsen apparently played a different move. Carlsen must have played Knight C3 here, or must have played Knight C3. It's interesting. I wonder why Magnus prefers Knight C3 to playing Bishop D3, or if it is just like an offhand decision. I don't see offhand why knight c3 is necessarily better than bishop d3. Alright, anyway, so instead, Jacob played knight c3. I've never played this move, knight c3. Because I don't like giving black a second chance to play e5. Now it will become some kind of weird, like, it's actually some kind of weird Latvian sideline or something. I mean, it looks like we're playing a Latvian decline, like with white. We can play d4. We're gonna have to play it in 2 moves. So e5, and then take on f5 the next move, and then I guess the idea is like to do d4 here. Grishuk versus Ponomaryov. And now knight h4. I don't know anything about this. I've never seen this reached in my games. But it's an actual variation. I wonder if this could be reached by another opening, though. There's an awful lot of games here. These games couldn't have all been played by knight f3, f5. This has to be some sort of transposition into a different opening. In order for there to be like 62 games, it's 100% guaranteed that we've transposed. Let's see what it says. It'll still say the Dutch, right? Yeah, it's just in gambit deferred. But these games they're transpositional. Okay, I don't like knight c3 as much as the other moves. Black plays e5. Yeah, and then bishop g5. Jacob just doesn't really know what to do. But this bishop is very important. This guy is your good bishop, and it needs to stay on the board and guard the dark squares at the moment. I'd never want to trade that here. Then black just plays like a random move. c5. It clamps the center, but I mean, black needs to get developed here. There just wasn't really that much time for this. This is kind of just random. Just here. Black is fine. There's a Reindeer Man game. Reindeer Man is strong. A Simachek game. My old friend Juan Meado Trevino from 1997. We had many crazy outings in Spain. Alright. But bishop e7. Yeah, that's better. Bishop g5 is just bad. Then c5. Here apparently Jacob has knight h4, but it's an outside the box kind of move. He played knight d5. Again here, I think we're just trading pieces, and this doesn't really benefit white. The problem is when you're playing a higher rated player like Jacob's 2000, he's playing an FM, and the guy's pretty strong. You know, you can sometimes feel like, oh, I just, want to trade pieces and get a draw or something, but it's hard to say just ignore your opponent, but you really have to try to play the best moves. And objectively here, I guess I would play bishop takes f6. The computer prefers knight takes e7. Bishop is a bishop, huh? But black is equalizing by trading pieces, and he also has a good grip. His c5 is gripping the center. And then this move is not a bad move, but it is passive. We're not developing any pieces. Pewter again finding knight h4. And now knight d2. Well, I just try to I believe Tushar. I don't care about tricks and stuff like that. I mean, I just look for the truth. The truth is all I'm after. Trying to find the absolute mathematical truth in the position. Try to play correctly. That's all I can do. We have to play the way we know how to play. I appreciate people that are tricky. I mean, and they have a lot of skill, but still, I can only play chess, the way that I know how. Yeah, bishop e2, knight c6. Okay, c3, h6. But slowly black is better. White didn't do anything. All he did was trade some pieces. He said knight d5 justifying c5. What do you mean by that, Tushar? Knight d5 justifying c5. I mean, I don't think there's any reason to justify c5. Justify c5. c5 is okay, It's hard to really I mean, this is not like it's the Najdorf or something, where he has a backward pawn on d6 that I can attack frontally or something, you know. I think c5 was okay, and it's a normal move. Just that Crew 64 played it just a little bit early. You know, White could have done some on two positional. Saul, you're definitely from the other side of the perspective, man. You're on the opposite side of the spectrum. No, you've got to play correctly at my level at least. You've got to, or you'll just get your head handed to you. c5 was a bad move. It was just a bad move, yeah. c5 is a bad move because of some tactic with knight h4, but in principle it wasn't a bad move. You know, the timing of the move was bad. You know, the idea behind the move is valid, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so this is just a position where it's probably a little better for black. Black has more space now. I mean, I play positions like this in the Rossolimo. Actually, looks like one of the Rossolimos that I play. Black just has a little more space. He has to be careful. His king's slightly open, but it's not a problem. Rook on a to e8. Now knight e4. White's clearly trying to keep it simple. Black here blundered. A totally natural move. He just put his rook on e8 and walked into bishop h5. It could have happened to anybody. In this case, it happened to a fairly highly rated player. So, White ended up winning after bishop h5. But let's take stock of what was really going on here. So, Crew should have just gone back to e7, and he's slightly better. He has a stronger center. He has the stronger center. He has the f-file pressure, and he has a little bit more space. So you're definitely, you want to be black here, but black's advantage is, you know, not that out of control. So Jacob was lucky. He was lucky. He had played a little passively, and normally he would have been in some pressure, under some pressure here. So this is just a game analysis. This is just analysis of the variation. Queen g6. He's obviously looking for like bishop h3. No. And it's very possible that Crew 64, he's an aggressive player. He likes tricks. He's tactical. Players like that, like unlike myself, I'm more defensive oriented. You know, I'm more likely to see threats for the opponent. I think attacking players like Larry Christensen, for example, sometimes they miss moves for the other guy. You know, I'm more likely to constantly see, you know, threats and also ghosts where there are no threats. But bishop h5 was a bad oversight, and then White's just winning. Up the exchange. Pulling the knight off of e4, it looks a little weird. Okay, it's a fast game. It was 3-0. I didn't really take into consideration the time control here. That's a really fast game. But there's no reason to pull the knight off of e4, I don't think. I mean, you can't even play d5 because of knight takes c5. Now, it is possible he is going to play queen g6, and that's going to become a problem. But, I mean, even king h1 seems like a reasonable... No, there is a problem. So c4, okay. That's why Jacob actually may have been right. Wow. He's actually threatening c4, undermining the knight. I guess another move is f3. White's got to kind of hunker down and defend. f3 is okay. If you want to give my views on the Caro-Kann advanced variation instead of a game, well, I'll try, Antonio. That'll probably be about the last one we can get to. Yeah, that's fine, man. Yeah, players who attack tend to overlook moves for the other guy more often. And this is normal human nature. You can only focus on one thing at a time. Specialists in attacking, they do tend to overlook defensive things. So knight g3, king h7. Sorry, bishop h7, queen e2, and then White is up the exchange and It looks like he blundered a little later, though. Let's see what happened here. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. We definitely want to play f4. I would have played f4 almost certainly to destroy black's center. Because without a break, it's going to be hard for white to make progress here. He just overtly blundered. No, so that's really bad. And then black didn't see it. He was... I don't know what he was doing. He was playing the whole game in 28 seconds, basically. Why would you want to trade queens when you're, like, down the exchange anyway? So black not playing real well in this game. Okay, guys, let's go on to the next game. Or let's take a moment to play a blitz game here against Nefedov. If he's prepared. So, what are we going to do today? What are we going to do today? Play e4, e5, just for something different. Asterbate tends to look... Well, we all, when we're starting out, you know, we tend to overlook everything. The Petrov's defense... Oh, no. I'm doing my Caruana imitation. No draw moves before... No draw offers before move 30. It'll be like the Sophia rule. There is knight c5, for whatever that's worth. I don't really see the benefit in that, to be honest. There's somebody who's like, yay, Petrov, or it's like, yuck. I learned to start to play the Petrov at a relatively late age, and I don't really play it very often, but just to kind of mix it up once in a while. There is bishop e6 here, I believe, if we want to be ambitious. But I think Nefedov and I had this once before. Human error. He wasn't in perfect shape in the last title tournament. Just an idea as well as analyzing a game. Feel free to follow this card, of course. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a cool idea. To analyze the little opening stuff. Knight c3. And now... Okay, knight e4 starts to become the theme. And there's also knight b5. So I would normally play, what, c6 here. b6 is not really a good option. But Nefedov is a very solid customer. He's 1852 now. I like it when he's not... Oh man, sorry to click on your name. I like when he's not 1600, but his blitz rating is still really sketchy, man. I'm gonna send you back to the mine to increase your blitz rating, Nefedov. It's not allowed to be that low. Okay, now we have a problem. We have a little problem here. I've allowed knight e4. I was supposed to trade queens first and then play c6. But that's life. Nothing I can do about it now. What if I were to play king d8 in this position? Then he plays bishop f4. And then I play something like knight e8. That looks so crazy. There's got to be something more sane than that. But I mean, knight takes d6. Okay. Queen e6 is possible. Queen e6, and if knight d4, queen e5, and then like f4. Queen takes d4, not a good move. How bad is d5? Knight d6 check, king d8. Queen takes e7 check, king takes e7. Knight f5 check, king d8. We're just hanging on. How bad is it? Well, we made a serious mistake. But maybe it's not so bad. I haven't looked at this in a while, but I think in the previous game I played the move order correctly. Now this is kind of a lame move. Not kind of a lame move. It's an entirely lame move by Nefedov. I mean, you absolutely really have to play knight d6 check here. And then try to discoordinate me, I think, with king d8. And then something complicated with knight f5. I mean, white is certainly not worse. But I just feel like this is a mistake by white. I mean, now it's like draw village, you know? I mean, white is not playing for a win here anymore. It's just like a draw. Maybe I should play queen takes queen. You know, if he plays queen e3, I have bishop h6, which is kind of a cute move. And here again, let's think outside of the box, guys. Let's think outside of the box. Can we take with the king and like put the king on d6? Would that be better? Or would the bishop, does the bishop need that diagonal at the end of the day? Maybe my king goes to c7 and my bishop goes to d6. What about castling? I mean, I don't know. But I think objectively, this is equal position, equal Igor. But Nefi definitely could have gone for more. Bishop takes f3, leaves him itty bit better in ascending. What I don't want to do now is see knight d4, right? So let's just play for a draw. Don't forget the Sophia rule is in effect. Ooh, this may have been a mistake. My second mistake of the game. Okay, it's still a draw, no matter how many little inaccuracies I'm making. How long has the stream been going? Okay, we've been up not that long. Mubot says an hour. Yeah, I guess we have. I still end up having to put my king on a stupid square. When I play the Petrov and then Nefedov plays the Kramnik variation, I mean, the odds are it's going to be a draw, you know? But I mean, I don't know. If I play bishop c5, I'm helping him, right? I should play this. Helping him play d4 probably doesn't do much good for me. I feel like he missed his opportunity to play bishop h5. It's still not entirely too late. But I could try to get active with h5, h4. No more games, please. Alright, guys. We're going to go back to the game analysis. But it gets monotonous. I get tired of just talking, you know, lecturing nonstop. Tushar, I need a break once in a while. Alright. So, the next game we're going to go to is Asterbate's game. Everybody, this is my subscriber stream, International Master William Pascal. We are trying to keep Nefedov at bay here. The Pirate Bay. Is it move 30 yet? I'm waiting to move 30 to offer a draw. No, I mean, let's just get it over with. I'm just going to offer a draw here. It's a tiny bit better for white because of the pawn structure. I'm better according to the engine, though. Whatever, man. I mean, there's no way black is really better here. I don't believe it. Computer claiming that I'm better. I'm semi-active, but I really doubt that black has serious winning chances. This is like one of those draws that I offer in a tournament and people are like criticizing me. How could you offer a draw here? Alright. So I don't know if we'll get to more games. Tushar's getting nervous. Game analysis. It's going to be acerbate. That's not the right email. Okay. Next day. Here it is. So, okay, this is... I can't read it. It's too small. A game of acerbates where he lost with black. No, he won with black. Sorry. Flip. And here we go. E4, C5, Knight F3, and now Knight C6. Alright. Anyway, main line D4, C takes D4, Knight takes D4, E6. Good move. Now white has many different lines. Karpov style with like Knight to B5. You can play C4, you can play Knight C3, you can play Bishop E2, you can play Bishop E3. So there's just so many moves. Violation of fundamental opening principles. And Knight E5. No. While this kind of move occasionally can get played in the late opening, you know, you see people do it in the dragon, for example. You know, Knight E5, Knight C4, or Knight A5, Knight C4. It's very rare that you can get away with moving this piece twice this early in the opening. Very fundamental mistake. White could play F4 at the very least here with a clear advantage. I mean, what are you doing after F4? You just gave white like a free move. A constructive and strong free move. This is a very big mistake. Alright. What to do? A6, Knight F6, D6, or Queen C7. I mean, all of these moves have to be okay. That's it. There's 4 moves. Chess is easy. How many good moves are there? That's it. There's only 4. Okay, Knight E5, Knight C3, and now Knight F6. Now it's going to be like F4, maybe Knight G4, some weird Bishop G1, and now you're still hanging out to dry. And now it's an avalanche with F4 and E5. This is very, very bad, and this happens, of course. F4. Now probably black should like cut his losses and go back to C6. I don't know. Maybe cut our losses and go back to C6. But he tried to play actively. It's understandable. Oh, he didn't play Knight G4. He played Knight G6. Okay, this is also conservative. But here again, you can get avalanched with F5. That's why I really prefer Knight C6. But Knight C6 is like admitting you made a mistake. So it's hard psychologically to do that. The time I lost to, just an off-topic, you know, example. The time I lost to Vladimir Kopian, it was like E4, C5, Knight F3, G6 when I was black, and it was H4, Knight F6, E5, Knight G4, and a Kopian here played D4, and I played D6. No, I played a blunder, Knight C6, and he played D5. And this is one of those situations where, like the same as you, like, I did something terrible, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my god. You know, I can't believe like this happened. If I take on E5, I lose a piece. And so I'm sitting there, and I should have just like admitted I made a mistake, you know. I was sitting and thinking like, well, what if I play like Knight B8, you know? I mean, maybe it's better just to play Knight B8. It's a terrible position. I'm getting rolled on both sides of the board, though. You know, this is much worse. This is even worse than... So instead, I just lost a piece with Knight takes E5. But I mean, I might as well just resign here. You end up getting like a couple pawns or 3 pawns for the piece, but they're really bad. So, in your game, we have a chance to go back and admit we made a mistake. After this, F4, and then this move not too bad, but still probably better to go to C6. Just admit you made a mistake. Yes, it's a bad position. And after this, things are going to get very awkward. Like, you might have to play Knight to D5. Or there's the awful Knight to G8. But maybe we can admit we made a mistake and still hang on somehow. Okay, Knight G6 is not that bad. Bishop D3, and he's giving you a moment's peace here. Maybe you have time to play d6 and kind of slow him down. You played bishop b4, which is also not bad. It's a developing move. And that's fine. Okay? Castles. Now what? I don't like those knights, you know. They're in the oncoming traffic from those f and e pawns. It's a very bad situation. So it looks like we have to do d6. You didn't do it. You could take on c3 and then play d6, or you can play d6. And they can also maybe play like d5 here. But I don't like black's position. After d5, e5. It seems like we have to go here and try to hold up e5. If f5, we can still stick our on. Maybe stick our knight on e5. And try to hang on again. But it's a very unpleasant position. But h6 is another fundamental kind of mistake. Stick with the opening principles, you can't go wrong. But here you're not developing any pieces. You're just neglecting development, neglecting control of the center. This is the second mistake, and white should really put you away now. With e5, it looks like very strong. Well, there are different ways of playing for a win, Nefedov. Play your style, man. But don't listen to the people who are like, oh, you're always playing for a drop. If you want to play for a small advantage, it's okay. But, you know, like me, I have to fight a little bit harder. You don't have to drastically change your style. Suddenly, what happened here? He took on e6. Why would white do this? Why would white take on e6 here? But the first mistake is giving you a good square for your knight on e5. And now you have a playable position. I don't really like h6 because that's going to mean this square, this g6 will be slightly weaker later on. And okay, you took with the f pawn. It's pretty risky because of the diagonal, but I think it's playable. It's more ambitious to take with the f pawn, more imbalanced, more dynamic, but less safe for your king. There's really no reason not to take back naturally here. Perhaps you didn't like the check on b5. I don't know. Maybe you didn't like here. But it's really not a big deal. And the other thing is acerbate. Like, if you think about the game in terms of pawn structure, what you want to do is aim for your pawns being in, like, islands where they're compact. And they protect each other, you know? So, these pawns all just stay together in a compact island. And that's better. White has an e-pawn that's isolated now. I mean, that e-pawn on e4 could actually turn out to be a very serious strategic weakness. Not now, but later on in the endgame. This pawn on e4, which the lag is not letting me highlight. We got laggy lag again. 89, not too high, but it's at the 149. So, now you have this classic situation where you have three islands. This little island, and this little island. More dynamic, but also riskier. Finally, he played d6, which was a good move. And I like that because it holds up e5. Check. And now we have a choice. Bishop d7 or king e7 maybe. King in the center and Sicilian. Not that bad. But you just blundered with knight c6. Just losing the exchange for nothing, it looks like. Just didn't count your c6 square. So bishop d7 is problematic because of knight takes here. But if you saw this tactic, it looks like there's a nice trick. Queen b6 check. King h1. He also has bishop, or rather queen d4. So the tactics work for white. In other words, we can play a king move. I would likely play king e7 or king f7. I don't know, I want to play king e7. Is there something wrong with this move? I would probably play king e7. We don't want to put the king on the open file. Unless I can cross over to g8. You could manually castle with king f7. Then maybe it would work. You know, the idea would be king f7 here like a Cochrane gambit. King f7, rook f8, and king g8. You know, and then your king is ultimately safe. So think outside the box. I think that Azerbaijan just, he just didn't want to move his king unnecessarily and didn't calculate, so he played knight c6, forgetting it wasn't protected. And now white's just winning, simply winning, take, take. Maybe you thought you had an intermezzo here. This was the reason for it. Forgetting he could simply go back. But the truth is that white has more than one refutation after queen b6. I mean, he can also play like... No, he can't. Maybe, I wonder... I was just thinking, this is funny, he can't go here because of bishop c5. Oh my god, I was going to say that's good. This is a mess. Wow. What a crazy position. And white is still better according to the engine. That's insane. Knight a4 with advantage to white. Saul, thanks for subscribing. This is more like it, right, Saul? We get a nice open position, lots of crazy stuff going on. Alright. Anyway, guys. So Azerbaijan just blundered here with knight c6, and I will stop there, but in a moment the game like almost got equal again. So I want to see what happened here. Knight takes, b takes. So white just basically fell for it. Like after queen b6 check, king h1 he played. He could have just retreated his knight back to d4. Maybe he's like forgetting too that it's like check. The black is in check, so he doesn't have time to do stuff like e5 or what have you. Very bad miscalculations from both sides. So now it's like winning for white. Just totally winning up material, up a piece, and then don't do anything crazy when you're up a piece. The rule number 1. But that's not the game. He played king h1, and then black is okay after this. He gets his piece back. The position is looking like a poisoned pawn, Najdorf or something. And you trade it on c3. But it's a very open position. And that bishop is fairly powerful. I'd really like to play bishop c5, bishop d4, bishop e5, and maybe trade for his bishop, or even not trade it at all. So I think what happens after you take on c3, suddenly you're falling apart on the dark squares here. There is the problem. It's very hard to protect the dark squares. And the other problem is that your king is just out in the middle of the board. It's in the middle of the board in an open position. Momentarily you feel like you're safe, but you're not safe. I mean, this bishop is coming to get you. This queen is coming to get you down here. This bishop is coming to get you down here. All these like long-range pieces are just gonna like slice and dice this position now. And giving up your bishop on c3 for that semi-lame knight. I mean, what was that knight doing anyway? This knight. He's got no game. I mean, this knight on c3 has nowhere to go. b5, d5, retreat. There's no reason to play bishop takes c3. That was a really bad move. B takes c, and then knight takes e4. And this was his miscalculation. He thought, okay, I'm protecting d6, but he forgot about queen h5 check. Queen h5 check question mark. It's not really a question mark. It's not quite the best move, but it's still strong. Okay, queen h5 check, king d8. King d8 might be slightly better because you don't walk into queen f7 check. Actually, it's a lot better. You need to go here so as not to go into queen f7 check. I mean, that looks quite dangerous. So take your time. You still got 4 minutes here. You only have several moves. Actually, king e7 should be considered as well. A human might mess this up with white and not win. The computer is going to be relentless, but a human might do something like make a neutral move and lose a lot of his advantage in one moment. It's +8, but he could make a mistake if he's 1400. If he doesn't play a good move here, you're up a pawn. What can I say? Position is just way too open. Black played king d8. Okay, but first you play king d7, which was a blunder. Then queen f7, and then king d8 forced you to go there. And now bishop takes d6. Which is an interesting move. I mean, it looks like he can probably build on that pin very, very easily with rook d1. But I don't know why you didn't take back. I mean, you pretty much have to. So knight takes d6 is just mandatory. And then something funny must have happened for white to win this game. It's like mate in 12 at this point. He fell into a smothered mate. Okay. Rook e7, like basically hanging a rook. Here, here. And now you need something to go right. You played knight f2 check, and the guy didn't take it. Now I understand. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay. He didn't know about the smothered mate. You know, you can occasionally see people who don't know this mate. You know, they can be pretty good tactically, but they just have never seen it. I remember the first time it happened to me, I was a pretty good player. I was probably around, like, high 1600s. And I was playing like a 2000 or a 1900 player and got smothered mated. I just didn't see it coming. Alright, let's go back and do another game analysis, guys. That was Astrobate. We're up to Soltigo now. Thanks everyone for watching, subscribing. Thanks for resubscribing. Valido, what's up everyone? Alright, our moderator's birthday today, Soltigo, so wish him happy birthday. 35 years young. If no other games to analyze, Soltigo always writes a book. Alright, this reveals what I've been working on for the past couple weeks with my new d4 repertoire. It shows the payoff gave me a good early advantage. It's the middle game I need more focusing on. Don't forget I lost. Blowing a good winning opportunity near the end. And d5 was a clear blunder. Okay, let's see. So Soltigo's white playing d4 against Chessmaster 1010. Govin Curtis, I'll see your birthday today. Wow, man, that's weird. 2 people watching the stream are the same birthday. That is crazy. Happy birthday, Govin Kurt. Alright, guys. So we got d4, d6. Not something you encounter every day. I mean, Soltigo could just transpose to an e4 game now, obviously. But I kind of like c4. Knight f3 is fine. And, you know, I think that it's interesting to play the bishop g4. Hodgson played that a lot, the English Grandmaster Julian Hodgson. You can play it against everything. Against knight f3 guys in particular, I mean, at least you create some sort of imbalance. Even if it's better for white, you create some kind of strange complications strategically. Another birthday. Astrobate, thanks, man. So bishop f5, that's definitely new. We could transpose to a King's Indian yet. Like g3, knight f6, bishop g2, g6. Like a game I lost against you, actually, Jacob. That variation that we played by distant transposition. Oh, it almost is. Okay, c4, knight f6, g3. And now g6 goes into the main line. But, you know, more interesting is what, like, well, Shirazi, like, used to play all the time. I remember there was a game. This was a common line. Like, knight f6, knight c3, bishop f5, f3, and e5. That's an interesting line. Playable. All this weird old Indian stuff is kind of hard to classify. So c4, knight f6. It's like Soltigo's playing against himself or something. It's 102 bits in total. Most of it today. Yeah, Jacob is JSC. I always say JSC. I don't know why I have that. I have to put C and S in the same order every time. So, JCS. Extremely good. He's pretty tough. He beat me in that Sima last week. With a perfect game. Castles, and then e5. Black's position looks rope-a-dope, and like there's something not right about it. But at the same time, like, what do you have? You know, there's nothing concrete. Knight h4, black can go back to... No, wait. Maybe knight h4 really is good. Well, there's always bishop g6. You know, that's the question. Should black play bishop g6 directly? He could play knight. He could play any number of moves. Bishop e4, provoking f3, then going back, or taking on b1. I'm just curious what the engine thinks here. You know, I mean, bishop takes b1 is the most expedient. You gain a tempo, whereas bishop g6, you potentially open up your rook along the h-file. In general, that doesn't usually often do a whole lot, to be honest. So I don't see black really having any other threats along the h-file, just the rook. Kopian Vladimir? No, he's Armenian, of course. Plays for the Armenian team. I mean, he used to be #1, like before Aronian became strong. He's down to like board 3 now. He's probably on board 2 or 3. The original and best. He did really well in one of those FIDE Grand Prix years ago. World Championship knockout tournaments. He finished in the finalists. Okay, I'm off on a variation now. So, knight c3. Soltigo doesn't leave the center. He plays a principled move. Good. And now we can play knight h4. And that's just bad for black. He overextended himself. Concrete mistake, e4. And now black has to play something really weird, like maybe g6, to not lose material. If you did do g6, would you get shredded by like knight takes f5, bishop h3? Oh, that looks pretty bad. Like, hypothetically, I mean, f3 is very, very strong, and bishop h3 is very strong. It would be hard to choose. This is like the ultimate Dutch. Very, very good position for white. Clear pawn up with a massive positional advantage on top of that. So, black decided not to do that, but e4 was a terrible mistake. He's just losing a pawn this way, but maybe it's better not to jeopardize his position anymore. Just to accept that he's a pawn down. Knight takes e4, probably good to do that. Black can play like d5. But the problem is white's strong center. You know, he has a massive center now. c4, d4, e2, f2. And they're just going to advance like e4, f4, e5 in your face. Yeah, g6 was terrible. Tushar's like, I really don't understand how GMs lose. Well, you think about it, Tushar, and the problem is that when they play each other, somebody has to lose. I mean, no, technically there's a lot of draws. But that's the nature of the game. Like, somebody has to, like, lose eventually. It's just a question of when. But it seems like black's defenses. If you showed me this game, I would say that Soltigo was black, like almost 100%. If you showed me the game, I'd be like, yeah, Soltigo played a weird opening. He lost a pawn, but he's gonna get crafty, find some tricks or something. And he didn't castle for a long time. He's playing really principled in this game. And now d5, not the most flexible move. I would want to bring it back, just the safe side, to be on the safe side. Bishop g2, it's like going to get attacked on e4. It's inevitable that the bishop's going to have to retreat back. So that should be like your first choice. d5, I didn't check it. It's like a tactical blunder. It loses a piece. Just a gross blunder. So, but in principle, I don't like the move. You know, you've got two bishops. You want to keep everything fluid and flexible. Technically, one can be champion of the world with no wins. Can you? Are you sure? You have to get the title in the first place. I'm not sure about that argument. Technically, one can maintain the title of world champion with no wins. But I'm not sure about becoming world champion. Are you sure? Is bishop g2 with the idea to go e4? You don't have to, you know? I mean, it's up to you, but you don't want that piece out there where it's vulnerable. Bishops are distance pieces. They're not melee. you know, hand-to-hand combat pieces like knights, the bishops should always be playing from a distance, because they have just as much power from the distance, but they're not vulnerable to attack from far away. So when you're using your bishops up close, you're just asking for trouble. Maintaining, yeah. So he just blundered here. This is just ridiculous. And so we'll see some sort of swindle now. A temporary swindle. Give him a few checks. Man, this is bad. Bishop e7 with the threat of rook takes h2. Particularly nasty. Black is one move away from annihilation after bishop e7. You gotta go for that. I mean, this is... Snap. The rook takes h2 is hard to... hard not to play for that. Rook takes h2 and then rook h8 with mate to follow. So Black forgot to develop the rest of his pieces. Always keep that in mind. And now Soltigo's got play. Now apparently, according to the engine, White has enough to draw. But he just decided to build, so... Not a bad move, bishop e3, by the way. Developing the piece. I mean, it looks like White might be threatening b4. That will be fairly serious. Obviously, Black has queen h5, which he played, but you can play h4. Only and forced. The computer gives it a question mark, saying that queen g4 was better. Queen g4 threatening queen h3. Subtle move. Forcing White to make the right move. See, don't make moves that like force the opponent to make their only move. Give them a little bit of a question. And now actually Soltigo is winning. He played b4 here, which looks natural. It's not a bad move. It gets a double question mark. No. Yeah, White's move gets a double question mark. I don't know, you know, the splitting hairs about +10, +6, +7, whatever. I mean, b4 is still good. Bishop e7, and then what? b5. Looks like he's ripping open the position. Not the best move according to the engine, but still good. He tries to keep it closed, and then... What are we going to do? Oh, because you have queen a8 check, king c7, b6 check, king c6, queen a4 check. And then Black just runs out here. So, this was really a blunder. Soltigo should have seen this. It's a forced sequence. Queen checks, everything's with check. So it's very easy to calculate this. And then Black just made a desperate sacrifice, and you still are winning. He could have maybe saved himself. Now he gets away. Now this is time for a calm move. Perhaps like king g2. I was looking for, but that might not be good enough. Well, you have queen e4 check, right? Don't you have queen e4 check and then just grab here on h4? That you should have at least played. You had 2 minutes left. Oh, he has bishop back e7. I take it back. Where is I take back? Alright, that doesn't work. Well, I mean, if nothing else, you're just winning with these two outside pawns. Forget about the fact that you're not up any pieces. You know, just play king g2 and rook h1 and queen your a and b pawns. Soltigo lost this. Just dangerous to take on h4. Apparently it's okay. But it just seems unnecessarily dangerous. And then my sense of danger. I wouldn't want to do that. You know, I would have been like, okay, I'm not even going to bother to calculate here. Let's play a fast move. We have 2 minutes. Let's just play like king g2. Maybe he was concerned about bishop takes g3. I don't know. But there you can capture the pawn apparently, and there's no perpetual. I was even thinking maybe rook h1 is possible. No? Rook h1. But then bishop h2, and it's not so clear anymore. Anyway, guys, crazy game by Soltigo. He ends up losing. Letting down your guard. letting down the guard. Let's see the actual game. So G takes H4, D5, check here, and you've got bishop check, or queen check, and then queen back to D4. And that's what you did, and it's good enough. That should be winning. Now you're up a piece, and your king isn't that bad, and you've got a pawn on the 6th rank. Unfortunately, there was some time pressure. Rook E8. One last try with Rook E4. And here B7 would have kept him, obviously, literally, in check, so to speak. Yeah, it was like Soltika was playing against himself in this game or something is what it looks like. So, amazingly, now after this one hesitating move, White is actually lost. And he was really like playing himself. Queen takes E4, and then there's nothing. Black blundered again, apparently. He has Queen G4 very strong here. Queen G4 check, and he takes on G5 next move. Okay, guys. Probably not going to take any more challenges. We'll just do the game. We'll do the games. I got Nefedov, Tushar, and Antonio. I want to get those in. We've got like an hour left. So, is that the correct order, Nefedov? Saul, actually. If we get time, we'll do Morales' suggestion of taking a look at the French. You said it. You said Caro-Kann. I mean, advanced variation. Thanks for the awesome analysis. I'm sorry it could be more awesomer. I'm not 100% today. We've got an hour left. So, by the way, guys, next stream is Sunday. I'm going to be doing the simul on Sunday. It's a longer simul, 60 plus 40, with 25 players. So, just make sure you're going to be playing the whole game, because it could last 4.5 hours plus. Alright, 4 hours at least. It could last. That's Sunday, that's 6 p.m. Sunday, Central European time. Alright, this is Nefedov, probably not the best game opening-wise, but analyzing it, you will hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Alright. Nefedov is white. What happened to the D4 lately? We've been seeing some Nefedov playing D4 types of positions. E4, E5, but not really. Does that mean I get 60 minutes? Everybody gets 60 minutes and 40 seconds per move. 60 minutes plus 60 minutes plus 40 seconds per move plus extra time for me. So Tushar is saying it could last 5 hours if I start. That seems kind of exaggerated. My stream usually starts at 6:30. And when I'm doing 40-40, it lasts until, well, I mean, just think about it. I'm doing 40-40, it lasts until 9:30, and we're adding 40 minutes, okay? So it doesn't add up to that much. I think objectively, like 4.5 hours would be the maximum. Am I drinking beer? Is that my concern that people run out of beer? Yes. But there's no way that makes sense, Tushar. Because my stream is, my simul's always ending. My 40-40 simuls are always ending in time. I've never had them go 4.5 hours. 4 hours is like the maximum. Maybe it's theoretically possible. I don't know. But I've never had a game. I mean, we start the simul at 6. I've never gone beyond 10 o'clock. And I used to start the simuls at 7 and finish them around 9:30. So I don't know. Anyway, Tushar just likes to argue with me. He may be right, though. Alright, so E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, bishop E5, knight F6, the Berlin defense. Oh, this is Tushar against Nefedov. I didn't realize. Oh, that's cool. That's why it's 2 birds with 1 stone. Is that the joke? It'd be funny if like Tushar suggested this game in his email, which was next. Oh no, you're not allowed to play Saw. The games against you are just too difficult. I don't think I can do that again this week. It'll help to have more time. Okay, so it's... Oh god. Nefida branching out and playing the Berlin defense. The ultimate drawing weapon. It's funny, I played against International Master Jonathan Yedidia years ago. The first time I ever played this with white, like, I was a master, but I didn't really play e4. And I didn't realize how much theory there was in the Berlin defense. I think I played Rook e1 when I first encountered this all those years ago against Yedidia. But d4 is the best move. Oh, I didn't realize Nefedov was white, right. I think I realized it first, but then I forgot. So Tushar is black. Alright, that makes sense, because Nefedov plays the... Thank you for clarifying. Nefedov plays the Latvian. But actually, Nefedov, if you want my honest opinion, I think that you're too one-dimensional playing just the Latvian. You play it well, it's a fine... It seems to be okay. But I think it would be better for you to have like more than one variation. You know, you seem kind of limited by that. So 96 here takes. You know, there are a lot of other moves. My friend Salansi Emil was trying to... He's trying to play this. I think that was his latest. It's not his idea. I mean, it looks like Morozevich did it. You know, all the weird things you can usually trace back to Morozevich. Here's the game Adiban against Elyanov from this year. Basically, white is looking for something. He got tired of his exchange Lopez. It's kind of funny to play the Marshall and the Berlin defense with black. Bishop takes c6, d takes c6, d takes c5. You know, there's a very old variation, the Swayton. I once saw playing in Hastings back in the early 90s. He was playing this. You know, this sort of old-fashioned move might be something that like you might want to play as just a one-game opening, you know. I could imagine a lot of people with white would be like not knowing what to do here after knight b7. This is a very old line. I think that Lasker might have played it. But it's not considered safe. You're supposed to play the other capture, of course, with d-pawn. I mean, that's kind of unnatural, but fun. You know, fun. Bishop takes c6, d takes e5, knight f5. We're in the endgame. And now... And Tushar just goes off on the tangent here. Now here's a weird game. Chanka Attila against Alex Scherzer. I didn't know that Scherzer was here this late. He must have left and come back or something. Because Alex was already like in the US finishing medical school by the time. He was already like a internist probably way before that. That's weird. I never saw him in Hungary like that late in 2001. But Bishop b4, it's funny to see Scherzer because Scherzer was one of the first people I ever saw who regularly played this opening. And it's strange that he would play Bishop b4 because he knows it, you know, or he knew it, and like he's playing this weird move, and I don't know why a player who was playing this opening 10 years before, you know, suddenly plays Bishop b4. That's weird. And he actually won with it. But, no, Bishop b4 is not normal. There's so many moves for black. Look. King e8, Bishop d7, h6, knight e7, Bishop e6. I've definitely seen a5, and I think that I've even seen Scherzer play that. Okay. This is weird. Yeah, I mean, what does Bishop b4 do? It only forces white to go where he wanted to go in the first place. Now Bishop e6. No Bishop e6. I mean, Bishop e6 makes a little bit of sense because you can play for like Bishop d5 maybe. Some lines bishop d5 might be useful. It also protects f7, obviously. Okay, we'll see Tushar's novelty, king e7. And now apparently white is clearly better according to the engine. Because the bishop is pushed out of play. Is there something with like c3 and b3 and bishop a3? c3 and a4 and threatening b4. The bishop is strange. You're not supposed to put the bishop on b4, and king e7 made it worse because you cut off the bishop's retreat. So this is just, you know, a player who's not familiar with the system with black. So, I don't know if Scherzer just forgot the line or he had his own idea here. But he ended up beating Chocolatilla, who was 2,300. But at least Alex had experience in the Berlin defense, even though he's playing a weird move here. Miles was the other player I saw play it a lot. You know, in the days before it was really popular. Anyway. King e7, c3, bishop a5, and a4. Absolute best move by Nefedov. Threatening b4 and a5. Remember, I was streaming. The tempting thing is also b3 might be interesting to play bishop a3 check. a4 and bishop g5 check. Can black dare go king e6? That's like mate, isn't it? So we have to go back now. Have to go back. King e8. But I think that Nefedov here, you know, he failed to find a clear plan, which is easy to do. It's extremely easy to do. The bishop on g5 is just going to be subjected to attack by h6, which is a useful move anyway. The only thing that's funny about black's position is that bishop on a5. It's going to come to b6, and it may not be that bad. This is a strange move by Nefedov, you know? I mean, the knight doesn't seem stable on c5. If you play rook e1, like just this move to me, if you're going to just play a move, why not rook e1 and try to set up that, just try to set up that e6, but developing a piece, you know? This looks rope-a-dope. He's preventing the knight, or rather the bishop, from coming out, or trying to discourage it from coming out. He's not preventing it. He's hitting b7, though. Here. h6 is good. Now where to go? Like, this is just a crazy move by white. Why would you go bishop h4? I mean, actually bishop f4 is bad because we got this Bondarevsky type of g5 again. I talked about this game from the most destructive chess games ever played. It's again the g5 idea. Very strong. Why wouldn't castle? You can't. Other than that, it's a good idea. I'd probably forget myself as Sarbade. I do that kind of thing all the time. Other than that, you're right. Yeah. So, but bishop f4 isn't good. Nothing's good. That's the problem. Every single pawn is on dark squares. White doesn't have the white squared bishop. He has just his bad bishop, the dark squared bishop. But it looks like Nefedov should have done something ugly, like bishop d2. You know, to be honest, I mean, maybe bishop g5 was even a mistake in itself. Okay, the computer says like g4. You need time to calculate that sort of move. I was looking to the queen side. I don't know. You've got to be willing to retreat this back. But unfortunately, we don't have any more bishop a3 or bishop b2. Yeah. Li Bo castling is allowed. Knight c5. Ooh, bishop h4. Now g5 is really possible too. I don't think that this is that bad, but you do have to watch the f6 square. There is a possibility that could get to be kind of a weakness. Even g5 is okay for black, but Tushar just goes for the bishop. Kind of a tough call. It's not a bad move. Now it's like very clear. It's two knights against two bishops. White's e-pawn is overextended a bit, and it looks like black is more compact. So that's what happened now. Yeah, bishop takes c5 is a matter of streaming, like you said, but it just seems like the kind of move you could make at any moment. You know, why do you have to play bishop takes c5 right away? You could probably wait. Bishop takes c5, b takes c5, b6, rook b1, g5. I'm not sure about g5 because you're chasing his knight back into the game. I don't know what to suggest. Why not like king e7? You're going to drop a pawn here. Okay, we can't just drop a pawn. So probably you should just take on c5. Screwed the pawn structure. At least you're not down a pawn. g5 here. Okay, this was reasonable. A good solution by black. Yeah, I don't like b5. I'm not sure. Because at the end of the day, if you take on c5, you would have taken this d4 square away from Nefedov's knight, which was a massive, massive outpost. Tushar, wasn't it you earlier today who was saying, like, how do you identify a monster knight? There it is. b5, knight d4. This is monster knight. Can we get a monster knight emote? That is a monster knight. And now you know what it is firsthand. b5 weakens the dark squares. If we take here, yes, the structure is ugly, but there's no knight d4. Black's up a pawn for whatever it's worth, and black probably can't lose this position. He'll move his king up to e7, and he'll connect his rooks, and I don't know. Worst case scenario, he loses like his c7 pawn or something. And probably that's not even necessary. King e7, rook c8, maybe we're fine. Bishop e4. Black is okay here. When he plays h4, that's a weird move by white too. The best move according to the engine. I never would have considered playing h4 here. That's crazy. Okay. That's the computer. Not Nefedov. This is not the game. b5. Okay, knight d4. Now I like white again. And then rook e1. And you could have grabbed the pawn on a4. Tushar is actually like, he's not being materialistic enough. Lack of materialism. Black is suffering from. I'm always saying, like, I don't like to be too materialistic, but sometimes you just simply have to take stuff. You know, that's all there is to it. It was almost like Tushar just didn't want to take things on principle or something. Now it's getting to the point where it's, like, ridiculous. Bishop f5, h3. Like, you know, you need to take this pawn on a4. I mean, seriously, why not? No, I don't like h4 and f5. I wouldn't have played h4. Now it's like getting kind of dangerous, though. I mean, it feels like black is just kind of down a pawn here with very little compensation. I don't like g4. You're putting your pawns on the white squares. I mean, you already have one on the white square, but I guess it's just a time move. He has 29 seconds left. Okay, it's a very fast time move. But I don't think you should put any more pawns on white squares. In the vacuum, I would just take on b5. You know, you're up a pawn, man, in an ending. Take on b5 and play knight back to d4. What else is there to think about? This is a no-brainer. Like, this is a big problem for black. Now b5 is hanging. You were just short of time, Nefedov. But there were a lot of little mistakes by both sides in this game. Not a bad game, but a lot of little mistakes. And now, that would be great. But you played g4, bishop e6, and now this is really starting to become a serious threat, taking on a4. So then knight d4. And now there's the f5 square. A whole new problem. What's with the tension on the queen side? Why can't you exchange on b5, Nefedov? Like, or do something, play a5, anything, but just don't leave that pawn hanging for another move. I'll lose my mind, really. Like, why is this pawn hanging? Okay, I know you have 16 seconds left. Knight f5 check here. I just can't stand it, the pawn hanging on a4 anymore. Is it invisible or something? Alright. Rook d7. Finally, he took the pawn on a4. With the bishop on c4 supporting it down here. But ironically, Nefedov is going to crash through or something with rook c6 check and let's see. There's also going to be the threat of knight d6. There's this threat, winning material. Actually, the biggest threat of all, knight d6. Now Nefedov has serious threats. The outside pawn is a good decoy though. So it's still not clear. Black's hanging on, and I know how tough Tushar defends. So this is probably what happened. Okay, Black had more time and then took on e7, but there's no clear reason for that. Why take on e7? Okay, he thought, I don't know what he thought. He was gonna flag. He was gonna flag Nefedov or something. It looks like he's playing for time. There's just no reason to take on e7 here. Just absolutely unnecessary. Rook c8, rook a7, rook takes c5, rook takes a6, and then black is like lost. Rook takes c3, rook takes a4, rook takes h3. Now this is not so clear. What could we have done better? Nothing. Oh, so Nefedov here could have interposed a move, rook e3, but it's still very difficult to win. If we play this though, rook e3, you have to find that with 8 seconds left. Difficult enough. And then we're coming here, and we're going to be able to win that pawn on a4 with good chances to convert. But you have to find that with 8 seconds left. It's pretty hard to do. After this, it's really difficult to win. Black has a very good blockade. He's going to trade off the h-pawn. Probably this is a draw now. King g2 here. I'm not sure about exchanging rooks here. Even that might be a draw. But you don't want to take that chance. Now it's like a clear perpetual. Alright guys, entertainment. Alright, that was a good game. Now I've got Nefedov. We did Soltigo. Tushar. A couple games left to analyze. 45 viewers. This is our subscriber stream. Oh, this is what? Correspondence chess? What? It wasn't really correspondence chess. What was the actual time control? Live chess. I mean, what was the time control here? What is this game? I don't understand. It was played on chess.com. Ah. I just got confused when it says there, like, site lichess.org. I was like, what? Okay. But this guy also has an account on lichess. That's why I thought you played him here. Okay. So this is Tushar against this Brazilian guy who's a GM. 3-0, very long time control. Knight f3, g6, c3. It's a good line. Now, I never played this move for black, so I'm going to learn something here. I have played knight f6, but never in this position. Looking at the statistics, it looks pretty good. So maybe we're gonna pick up something here. It's just a c3 Sicilian though. I mean, after e5, knight d5, d4, it's going to be a very early g6, c3 Sicilian. This variation is kind of trendy with colors reversed at the moment. I was talking about it the other day. But Tushar played some kind of weird gambit here that this guy obviously, you know, most likely has never encountered. Never will see it again. Move 11 has a comment. Knight f6 is not very good with knight f3, g6 in. Well, that's not really, you know, gelling with the statistics here. I mean, This is ridiculous. Like, it's 46 games and black has 35% wins. Well, white might have a good line, but he better know it because it seems like most people don't. So e5, knight e5, queen b3 would be a reverse. Yes. No, it must be now, man. Maybe now. That's what Stockfish says, and it's the same as the reverse thing. Guys, look at this. If you play the English, right? c4, e5, g3. How do we get the reverse of this? Knight f6. I had this game the other day. Bishop g2 and c6. No, I played knight c3. That's how I ended up in this position, putting my knight on c3. And then black played knight c6, and then I had to play like knight f3, right? Knight f3, e4, knight d4, and then queen b6 is the move according to the engine. I'm surprised there's no more recent games in 2012 here. Oh, there have to be. Yeah, there are more recent games. Those are just the highest rated ones. So we have a sort of like reversed version of this, except the only move that's added is knight c3. I thought he would play bishop g7, so pre-move d4. Okay. See, pre-move d4. Yeah, but I mean, this is really, really weird. That's not relevant. I just want to know the truth here. Look at Stockfish. It says that d4 is an interesting move. It's actually calling it the second best move in this position. So this is like you invented a gambit that might actually be sound, Tushar. d4, knight takes e4. It's like a long-term pawn sacrifice for development. I mean, it's probably not that bad. But I'm curious about the main line. Like, what's really going to happen there? If we just take one more minute to look at this. e5, knight d5, queen b3. There's only 2 games. Hari Krishna versus Atura Zaga. Both GM games. And Serminados against Musician. But it's not clear what line move 11 was talking about and which exact position queen b3 would be played. But it's just a shock how many games there are here. Only 2. But anyway, to make a long story short, I think that this guy's move, you know, it's not that common. e5 seems forced. Knight d5 seems forced. And then, what are we going to do? I'd like to play this line for black if I could, you know. Let's see. Maybe it's d4 and then queen b3. We have an in-between move. It's possible to play it here. The engine actually likes it here, and there's only 4 games. Zwischenzug. But nothing special as far as players who have played this. Just totally random. More questions than answers from the opening. Okay. e5 is the best move. Knight takes e4. And now, Tushar plays bishop e3. So the computer says he should take on c5. It's a 3-minute game, so not the highest quality. Tushar, it doesn't matter if you did it by accident, you know. Things you play by accident is still an invention. It was an accidental invention. That's the way a lot of things were discovered, man. Electricity was probably discovered by accident, you know. I mean, gravity was discovered by accident. Probably an apple fell on, like, you know, somebody's head. You still invented it. I mean, nobody's played d4. It doesn't have to be like, you know, you thought for hours and years on discovering this move. You found it. It was an accident. D takes c5 now, with the idea of queen d4. Is the game like 100 moves long or something? Oh my god. Alright. So, this is not the game, but it looks like it was the best continuation. Tushar just wants to show his final position. Alright. Well, probably both sides were pre-moving every single move. C takes d4, knight takes d4. Yeah, even there, I think it's strange to play knight takes d4. I mean, the other moves are more constructive, probably threatening g8, h8, or developing a piece, taking the pawn toward the center. Even this move is a mistake. Knight takes d4, probably. Bishop g7. You're just a pawn down against the Grandmaster with the white pieces here. Knight f6. No compensation now. None. Castles. Castles. Knight c6. Another bad move. Just like bringing a black pawn toward the center. Knight f3. a5. That looks like a good move. Queen d2. Yeah, now bishop a6 is a very professional kind of move. Like a lot of people would reactionary like rook e8 here. But an experienced grandmaster probably knows that like bishop h6 is nothing to fear. So he's not reacting with like rook e8. Oh, I've got to do like bishop h8. You know, that's probably quite dangerous for black. If you do something like this, rook e8, bishop h6, bishop h8, in my experience, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble in this sort of position with black. You could really get yourself into a lot of trouble, where the white pieces start filtering around near the black king. And bishop h8 only kind of makes things worse. Now, I think it's very professional what he did. Like playing bishop a6, getting rid of his bad bishop on c8. Rook takes a6. Rook d1. d6. Black played correctly. I mean, white played correctly too, but he's just a clear pawn down, you know. Rook a8 seems like a brainless move. I don't see, you know, he's just trying to play fast. But I don't see why you need to retreat it necessarily. It might end up being useful. You know, who knows. We could play a4, maybe rook a5, something like that. And it wouldn't be, like, necessary to move the rook away. You know. Like, that's actually not a bad idea. Maybe a4. Why is that no good? a4 is interesting. Okay. So rook a8, still not a bad move. c4 seems okay. I like this. You've got ideas of c5 now, sometimes, trying to fix the structure. And he plays another strong positional move here, c5. He's like, no, I don't want any part in that. And very well played by black. Bishop g5. Rook e8 now. Sensible. And then you play b3. So he's just a strong positional player. I mean, he understands to break your structure. Now you're a pawn down, but he also has inflicted like a minority attack on you as well. And then you played b4, okay. Slight change in the structure. The black's just clearly better. And then he goes for a trade of queens. Theoretically, you should avoid this exchange of queens. But you didn't. You just played like queen takes a5. Can you win a pawn here, though? Well, maybe he hung a pawn. Did he drop bishop takes f6, rook takes d6 or something? And you didn't do it. Is this really bad? I guess this wins a pawn, but it just like gives up a really powerful bishop. Bishop takes, bishop takes. I expected you to do this. But you're still just clearly worse. Basically down a pawn. Probably the a pawn is just going to kill with that bishop on f6. So it was good that you didn't try to win this pawn back, actually. White is like close to lost here. h4. King f8 is a move I understand. He's defending e7. Rook b1. Rook c5. Rook b4. And now he's got a problem with his pawn. And he just goes to trade stuff down. Knight d2. Now he's kind of indecisive. He's hanging on to the pawn, but you get on the 7th. And now there's starting to be some counterplay. Rook e8. That's a bad sign. This guy is definitely not happy to play rook e8 here. He didn't want to play e6, but it may have been a better move. It's hard to call. You force him to play a bad move. Now there is no convenient move for black. He had to play rook e8. And now you've got activity. And h6. Okay, keeping the pieces on the board. He defines knight g4, so he played really a good quality game. And then rook a8. That's a rather passive. c5 I expected because you're trading off your weak pawn. That seems good. Does he have any sort of bishop d4? Not really. Not really. So, yeah. Obviously, if there was no a pawns, you'd have very good chances to draw. Now I'm concerned about getting mated. It would have been better to play g3. This was actually a bad mistake. You know, you still have back rank problems. It seems like g3 would have been a useful move for you on several levels. It protects the pawn, but it also gives your king at g2. That was actually a really important moment. You might even be able to play h5, but I'm not crazy about like sacrificing a pawn, another pawn. Just g3. How bad is knight f3? Well, you lose the ability to play knight e4. You know, this actually looks like a good square for your knight. By playing knight f3, you take that away from yourself too. Now he played this. I haven't really seen anybody miss any tactics here. Really, neither player had tactics. It's kind of weird, but you're trading pieces. I mean, that's the best move according to the engine, actually. Strangely enough, rook on 7 to b6 is the best move. Yeah, rook a7 seems more natural to me. Here. I mean, normally when you're down material, you don't trade pieces. a3, g3, and now your knight is free. So it's just a tough position. Still very hard to win, strangely. I mean, you'd think like he's on the 7th, you got weaknesses on a3 and f2, but he can't find a way to break through. But he needs to use his e-pawn. That seems to be the last straw. And you played rook a5. What's this about? He wins a pawn? Now you're just 2 pawns down. 2 pawns down, absolutely. Finally, the knight found e4, but it went the long route. And then wait a minute. So he just drops a pawn here? Oh. He drops a pawn here, and you didn't take, which is even stranger. So, like, what? You could just take this pawn, and it's probably a draw. But you didn't take it. Can anybody explain to me why that is? Instead you play knight takes f6. Okay, that's fine, but you need to take the pawn on a3. And it's like a draw, dude. I mean, he can be an endgame expert. Oh, first you take on e7. This is even better. Okay, yeah. Well, but now he has a2. Now he has a2. You have to find with probably very little time a very precise move. This sort of thing. Bishop c5. That's nasty. You played rook a6. Easy to make a mistake here. Knight e4. King f3. Knight c3. And he dropped a piece. Bishop f6. Now, it would have been better to try to play for mate, but there is no mate because he can play g5, unfortunately. So, you just take the piece. And then we have to play out to mate, according to Tushar. Now we're just up pieces and winning by 50. Mate in 12. No stalemates due to presence of h-pawn on the board. Alright. Well. Alright, that was a very long game. Let's go on to Antonio's suggestion. I also had actually had a game here from S4, and we'll cover those two things last. S4, another long game. Ugh. It's like a 100-move game? Oh my god, dude. You sent me a 90-move game? Are you serious? This is rapid chess. This is rapid chess. It's actually an insanely long game from the tournament I held on Tuesday, Blitz. So, yeah, I disagree with analyzing with the engine off. I actually think that we can learn a lot by analyzing with the engine on. You know, analyzing with the engine on is like just this. We can kind of learn from the computer a little bit. Everybody has their different approaches, but I prefer to actually absorb kind of patterns and knowledge from the engine. I don't think that it's an evil thing to analyze with the engine on. I think a lot. Like I don't just sit here and regurgitate what the computer says, but I think we need to just accept that it helps us. It helps us to see a lot of ideas, open our eyes to a lot of things that we wouldn't see. Be like a hybrid. But if somebody particularly doesn't want me to analyze with the engine on, that's fine. One of the subscribers prefers their game not to be analyzed with the engine on. So d4, I like e4, bishop g7, knight c3, d6, and then g3. G3 is, I think, is really good against the Pirts. I think it's a little bit less good. Maybe it's like slightly less good against the modern, because black has a lot more of a flexible position. But it's okay. I mean, it's got to be okay. So obviously knight f6 transposes to a Pirts. I think that black should try for something else. And if you look to the statistics here, it looks like knight c6 is played a lot. Black could also try to sort of do some sort of hedgehog, I guess. I mean hedgehog, hippopotamus with like b6. That's got to be reasonable. Play like b6, bishop g2, bishop b7. I mean, that's certainly viable. Yeah. This is viable, but it's risky anytime you do this kind of hippo. You're taking your life in your hands with a very hyperbonded approach. Okay, so Saul is playing black. He's a kind of crazy player, and he creates a lot of chaos. He played a6 here. That's a move that looks like it's asking for trouble. Because are you going to be able to play bishop g2, b5, and play rook a7, or what are you going to do when he plays e5? No, someone's asking about knight c6, but g3, knight c6, d5. I mean, this opens up the black diagonal. You could also just simply play knight b8. I look at that. I mean, black's score is decent with that move. But this is played in a lot of different openings, you know. d5 is not that great a benefit for white. You know, you gain a little bit of space, but at the same time, black can chew at that pawn with like c6, open up the long diagonal. It's kind of a mixed bag, really. What's up? I'm not 100% sure that knight e5 is even better than, say, knight b8, to be honest. Although it's the same, maybe half dozen of one, 6 of the other, because you're going here, and you're going back to d7 anyways. It's the same thing. Here you're allowing f4, though. I mean, this is a bit weird. There is bishop g4. That's really alien. But I don't like bishop g4. Bishop g4, bishop e2. This looks good. This looks kind of better for white. Barris Essen. So if it were me personally, I would play knight b8. I've done that in Nimzovich defense. Fonza Curry. It's just a move, man. It's like Karpov shouldn't have played g3 against Jan Timman in 1979. I mean, you got to play what's comfortable for you, Fonza. It's not a question of too modest. I think it's a good system. But I don't like it as much against bishop g7 as I like it against knight f6. So anyways, okay. Wow, there's some games here. Audubon games. White played a4. Critical seems bishop g2. And is Saul going to actually play b5 here or what? This is the million-dollar question. e5, rook a7. And who's crazy enough to do that? These German guys. Podzielny and Ralph Appel, and they're both good players, especially like Appel is 2500. I mean, if you want to play for a win with black and you want to do something absolutely nuts like b5 and rook a7, why not? You know, I'd feel even kind of dubious about playing this in a blitz game, but in a long game that looks really dubious. So here I think you have your best chance in the opening. Jacob. Like, I would definitely go for that position. That looks very artificial to me, for black to have, like, the rook on a7. Seems sketchy, but it's not so easy in over the board. But he doesn't have to play b5, it looks like. A number of people have played knight c6. But then it's kind of like just Adiban and my old friend Nevednichi. So, yeah. It's alright. So let's take a look what happened here. a4, bishop g2. But black will do b6. You can't do it anymore. Black played knight f6. I didn't really talk about that, but now we're transposing to a classical Pierce with a knight on f6. Did black have to play knight f6? You know, that's another question. He doesn't have to. He could also try a different setup. But maybe you should play b6 here, no? I mean, how bad is this? b6, bishop g2, bishop b7. I mean, that seems reasonable. Anyway, long discussion about the opening. Okay, lots of stuff you could do. It's very flexible. a4 is a little weakening for white, but if we transpose to a normal Pierce fianchetto setup, like white is getting here, then he's alright, you know. This is getting back into some kind of almost main line. e5, and then you can take on e5 here, probably. Actually, I had a very similar game against the Serbian IM this December, Sredojevic, where I decided to, like, I guess it wasn't a fianchetto, but the same idea, where I decided to take on e5. Taking on e5 is very modest, but it's also safer than playing d5. If d5 knight e7, it becomes like a Mar del Plata King's Indian. Obviously, it's Saul, because it's a 100-move game, and he won with black. And he's creating chaos now. But, you know, Jacob does a high-risk move here. I mean, d5, this is maybe the best move by the terms of the computer, but I think very hard to play over the board. This is going to be an extremely complicated position now. If you just do bishop e3, or even just exchange on e5, white can play very safely. My concern would be maybe the e4 pawn getting pressured. E takes d4, knight takes d4. This could easily transpose into Quang Liem versus me. Almost forgotten Pierce defense. This could transpose to some kind of mainline variation in the Pierce. Rook e8, bishop d7, queen c8, rook e5, rook h5, and all that jazz. You know, rook h5 happens in the Pierce. Knight e7 here, castles, and c6. And that's nice. You know, you break the center. This is a holy woolly game from 2005, as Tony Miles called him. Holy woolly with c6, breaking the center. This just looks solid, man, for black. Am I seeing a theme here with Jacob? Another case of bishop going to g5 and trading itself off, and leaving myself weak on the dark squares. It's not all that different from the other game Jacob played, where he played bishop g5 against the FM, Crew 64. Another case where I don't really like this positional exchange of the dark squared bishop. I wonder there, though, you know. Bishop g7 is kind of an automatic move, but I'm not sure that's necessarily the best. You could play king g7, or maybe even bishop g5. Check this out, bishop g5. I'm surprised Saul didn't go for that, because that's like right up his alley as far as like chaos goes. He likes chaos, so I just don't think that trading the dark square bishop is really justified here. White has too many pawns on white squares. You know, it's like white square, white square, white square, white square, white square pawn. Too many weaknesses consequently on the dark squares. So we can't really afford to give up this dark square bishop. And also, if you think about it, black's bishop is really bad. You know, the bishop on g7. It's extremely restricted. Why do we want to bring that into the game? You know, it seems like we just want to keep it buried back there. It's ugly, but we should probably play something like bishop d2. Or it's not a very romantic move. Or bishop c1. Or bishop e3. What's wrong with bishop e3? Okay, bishop e3 has a problem. Because he takes, and it's going to be knight f5. This is going to be a really big annoyance. Knight f5. So, then maybe we should just put it back on c1. The rook is already developed. We can play rook a3 and bring it across here or something. Okay, anyway. He's just pressurizing the d6 pawn. I played enough simul games with Saul to know how dangerous he is. But now it's like we're shut down. We have no break. Well, only f4 and b4. So the rook d1 didn't really bring us very much. And now black is all set up for f5. I think that black is better now. He plays f5. You played b4. And then it's a tough judgment. He plays queen c7, takes here, takes with the queen. Wow. It's hard to play that, but probably queen c7 like the computer is calling for. Or exchanging queens is not so bad either. But it looks like he allows some nasty stuff with the d6 pawn. So, it's not that clear though. I mean, if queen b6, I guess we can protect with rook f6. Okay, Saul is getting one of his crazy positions on. What's up, Bob? Thanks for checking in. We're going to close it down in like 10 minutes. So it seems like the position is stabilized a little bit. White has a space advantage with the pawn on d5. We can come across. Maybe we can infiltrate on the c file. I don't like the redundant knights here, though. You know, these pieces... I had a game once in a Botvinnik English where I lost and my knights never moved. I sat there looking at the position when I resigned, you know, and my knights were like sitting there just like idiots on c3 and d2, you know, c3 and e2. Like, look at these pieces. They literally have nowhere to go. Literally nowhere. I mean, this is... It's ridiculous. Like, they cannot move. f4. He played g5, but he forfeits the e4 square. That's a nice job by White to exploit that. But he could have played f4. This is really nice. And then if you take, then the bishop on g6 becomes really active, and it's maybe better for black. But this was a really good call by Jacob after g5 to take on f5. I mean, it looks like you're jettisoning your whole pawn structure. You're giving yourself like all sorts of isolani. But Jacob had a good sense for the importance of this. I think the e4 square for his pieces. So that was a good job. Now White has... We could make an argument that White has 3 pieces. 1, 2... Well, this one, okay. We both have a bad bishop. We both have a bad bishop here. So it's close. But this seems to be the real difference in the position, the backwardness along the b file, the fact that Saul couldn't develop his bishop, and now White is taking over the c file. Kind of a classic King's Indian, right? Bishop f8, here. King g7 seemed like a kind of random move. Bishop e7 would be fine, like the engine is calling for. I think this is okay, but black has no way to break out now. He's just tied down to passive defense because of this b pawn. You sort of snuck up on him in a way. Anyway, let's play through this. This is just the variation. King g7 is the game. I'm going to play through this more quickly. I don't really like g4, but maybe it's okay. I mean, you're better. I would prefer to just kind of stay flexible. You can play g4 whenever you want to, and it may be the right plan, but I don't see any reason to commit right away. Here. Okay, it's a fairly fast time control, 7 plus 2. seems like white, yeah, I was waiting for this. I mean, it seems like you need to get him on the c file. Knight f4, knight takes f4. Which way to take? Check here. Did I see this before? Why is this kind of familiar to me too? Apparently this was a big mistake, though it's not that obvious. This is one of those situations where you look what the engine says, and white has a huge advantage. But white only has a huge advantage if white can find an exact sequence of moves, you know. He has to avoid exchange of rooks. I made a very big mistake like this, one of my own games last tournament, where I exchanged a piece that I should have kept on the board. You have more space, you shouldn't exchange pieces. But I'm not saying it's easy for white to win this position by any stretch of the imagination. You could say, oh, white has 2.1, whatever the computer says he's like clearly better. Truthfully, this is not so easy for white to win. And I wouldn't have thought the advantage is quite that big. Let's play rook c1. Why rook c3? I don't know. I mean, I like rook c1 because rook c1 has maximum mobility for the rook. We can shift to the e file, and then we can threaten different things. You know, maybe rook e1, maybe discover check, maybe if king d8, we can play like knight f6, and the mate on e8 will be very difficult for black to deal with, for example. I like this. This looks good. So you make quick moves. It's a fast game, but it's funny how white's advantage sort of evaporated here. Still better. But there doesn't seem to be a plan at this point. Now knight f6 is like a draw. Nefedov would offer a draw. Knight f6, black has to be careful about the b7 pawn. So knight f6, rook b8, it looks like it's probably equal. White's a tiny bit worse, I guess, because the a pawn could fall. This dark scarred bishop could get out here, get down here, and get that pawn on a5, then it's game over. If that finally gets in the game, like Lasker said about bad pieces, they're very angry when they come out. Sort of ran out of plans. And then suddenly, it looks very good for black, but the white blockade is still very strong. I mean, the bishops look very good, and h5 looks like a break, but it's still not that easy to do it without dropping g5. White's pieces aren't that bad, so he's still okay. Oh, and then suddenly the rook is like transplanted on. Ooh, that's awkward. But why is this game so familiar to me? Were we watching it or something? I don't remember. Did I watch it live or something? I feel like we went over this game before. Am I missing something in the chat? Yeah, Tushar, I don't know why you're being so rude, like telling me what to do, man. It's not very polite. Seriously. I don't understand, dude. That's the second time you made a comment like that. It's kind of not very polite. Alright. Rook c8, bishop b3. King here. And now knight takes d6. Yeah, but I don't remember why we analyzed this. In what context? It's a long game, though. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Let's go back to the last thing I wanted to touch on today. This is the question from Morales, because time is up here for today, guys. The thing is, Morales asked about the advanced Caro-Kann. I mean, I can't really, I'm not an expert. I always qualify myself. But e4, c6, d4, d5, e5. I sometimes play the black side of the advanced Caro-Kann, and also sometimes I've been experimenting with playing it on occasional stream games. My opinion is that I can only tell you basics. I think that both bishop f5 and c5 seem playable for black, and they both seem to be very trendy at the moment. Morales asked me to take a look at this, but the c5, I mentioned last week there was a game by Adiban that looked really good. It seems like white really should play like knight f3 or something to that effect. There is this d takes c5, e6, let's say like a3. This is what Karyakin, this is the Adiban game, but also Karyakin Topalov. So Adiban improved on this game, but if you're asking me, and this variation is very important, we can improve on the Karyakin Topalov, but we can also improve on the Adiban game that was played by Adiban with black. Adiban played with black last tournament in the United Arab Emirates last month. 90 minutes, a 9-round 90 minutes game tournament. I forget the name of it, like, UAE Masters or whatever it was. So this is one variation that's very interesting. I think another variation that's very interesting for white is to play like knight f3, and the idea being to play like a quick c4 in some variations. But I still think that objectively, though, it really should be that like the main line should be bishop f5, and all the games that I'm seeing at the highest levels are all a lot of this stuff in the short variation with bishop e2. Maybe there's some experimental lines like knight on bd2 that deserve more exploration here. I don't know, but bishop e2, and then here black has that big decision to make about, I don't know what the best move is. I've tried c5, people play knight d7, knight e7. But one thing I don't really know is like a lot of people play h6 and g5 type of setups. I'm seeing very early h6 and g5 type of lines. But that seems kind of dubious to me. See, black should play, it seems like black should play more fundamentally. I don't know. I see a lot of games, but I'm not impressed by these artificial plans where black is like not castling and playing h6 and like castling queenside and playing g5. I mean, if you wanted to play like that, I don't know, maybe you should play like the Sicilian or something. I always thought the Caro-Kann was like a solid defense for black. But in general, though, I think that the lines are okay. I mean, and the other thing that I don't know about is, I know what I don't know, But seriously, like on bishop f5, I mean, h4 is the other question. Like, I thought that this was supposed to be okay for black, but maybe it's not as okay as we thought it was. So still, you need to make sure that if you play from black's perspective, you need to know what you're doing here really, really well, because I think there's still some unanswered questions. Anyway, guys, that's just a little bit of a run down on what I think is important in the advanced Caro-Kann. I mean, these lines are the most important. Anyway, time to go, guys. It's late here. I've been streaming for 2.5. I'm gonna get out. But we'll be back with a simul on Sunday. I'm gonna be doing a 60+40 simul here on lichess at 6 p.m. on Sunday. So 25 players. Thanks, Prince. Yeah, I definitely want to play 25 players on Sunday. It's 6 p.m. It'll be like as possible as long as 5 hours, 4.5. Hopefully it won't be longer than 4.5. So if we start at 6, hopefully the games will be done at like 10:30. What's up, Steel Knight? I just got here. I have to go. Long time no see. You can always check out the replays of my videos and my streams here on lichess. On my YouTube channel. I'm going to upload them always. Video chess training on YouTube. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I really had fun. We've got 43 viewers. It's not bad. I'm usually doing a stream on Thursday, by the way. So this is just a rare occurrence that I'm doing a stream on Friday. Probably a better night, but we'll be back on Sunday. That's the next stream. And then Monday is not clear because the cable guys are coming again to my house to reinstall new internet and cable boxes and stuff. San Diego, CUSA. Last question. I just started reading my first chess book by Jay Silman. All right, man. I mean, Silman, The Amateur's Mind and stuff like that. You know, he's not a snake oil salesman. He's a legitimate chess author, and I think that anything you read by Jeremy Silman is decent. You know, he seems like he puts a lot of, not every, I can't say this for every chess author that sells a lot of books, but it seems like Silman puts a lot of effort into his books, and you get and you get what you paid for with Jeremy Silman's books. So I think they go a ways. Not a bad writer. Anyway, everybody, have a great night. I will see you tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Sunday. See you on Sunday. Thanks for subscribing, guys. That was the point of the stream. So this is my subscribers stream to reward you guys for subscribing. I'm so tired I'm going to go to sleep. Get some dinner and go to sleep. It's 9:30 here in Budapest and time for bed. Tomorrow we'll rest up and we'll see you for the Sunday simul. Don't play unless you have 4+ hours to play chess. 6 p.m. on Sunday, 25 players. 60 plus 40 time control. I will see you then. Bye-bye.